right, this time I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Select Board to order on Monday, November 28, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show that all selectmen are present. Consent agenda warrant number 15, 10/24/22, number 16, 11/14/22, payroll register number 45, 11/10/22, and number 46, 11/17/22. Looking for a motion to approve, please.
Move to accept.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the warrant and payroll register as read. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Looking for a pole placement permit for Central Main Power on the Kincaid Road. Mr. Town Manager?
CMP is requesting permission to put a support pole on Kincaid about a quarter of a mile in from 201. And it's a town road, so it needs your approval.
All right, looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve a pole permit for Central Main Power on the Kincaid Road. Any questions? Mr. Manager?
Is that set back enough so it's not going to bother the plow truck?
Yeah, it's set back at the very edge of the right of way.
Okay.
All right, seeing no other questions, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Letter D, acceptance of the meeting minutes from November 14th, 2022.
Move to accept.
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes from November 14th, 2022. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Letter E, old business, selectmen's concerns from the previously preceding meeting. We're going to go to a concern brought up by Selectman Manter on the town manager, all right, and issues with the town manager. I know it says evaluation, but we will do a formal evaluation of the town manager in January and February, which goes along with what we have done in the past. So we're talking tonight about issues that different board members have with the town manager. That's what our task is here. All right, the meeting is between the board and the town manager, and we don't need cheering or boos or whatever else that can come up, and comments. We don't need any comments. At the end of the meeting, we have a citizens concern section that we will have comments from people if you want to stand up and make a statement. I am going to restrict the length of time to 2 minutes speaking, and also that you need to be a Madison resident. So I'd like you to state your name and your street you live on, and we're not gonna get the voting record out. If you're telling me the truth, you're telling me the truth. So, or you're telling me the truth, and I'll go along with it. So that's the citizens' concerns part of this. Again, the board and the town manager are discussing things, and we will come up to some logical solution. And remember, we're talking about current issues. We have past evaluations of the town manager that have been outstanding. So we're going to take it from that point on. And the last one that we did was in February, I believe, or March of 22. All right, Mr. Town Manager, any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could just say a couple of things. Back in 2015, when I was interviewed for this position, I was asked by the board at that time, which Mr. Vinziano is the only member that's still there. It was Mr. Edgley, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Fortin, and Mr. Ducharme at the time. I was asked what my style of leadership was, and I explained there's two parts to it. Part of this job is to provide this board with factual, clear information so you can make good decisions. In addition to that, my role is to support the town staff and provide them with the tools and the resources that they need so they can be successful in their jobs. As Mr. Vinziano mentioned, with each evaluation I've had at that time, I've appreciated the guidance given by the board, and it was evident from those evaluations that the board was more than satisfied with me. One area of concern that always came up was whether or not I am stretched too thin in my duties and my outside commitments. In fact, I found a note that was added to my evaluation by one of the select board members back in 2018, and I paraphrase it here. The town manager is wearing more hats than his job calls for. I hope things get back on track before he burns himself out. We need to get the new code enforcement officer to address some problems so the manager can deal with his job. This way, maybe we can keep him around without burnout. And I think that's fairly ironic that that comment was made in my evaluation 4 years ago. This past summer, I tried to address our code enforcement issue and some of the things that were on my plate by moving forward a plan to hire a full-time code officer, which I did. Now, how I managed or mismanaged the hiring of that full-time code officer, one thing is clear: it's led to divisions among the board, and it's led to an evident lack of trust. So I expect tonight the board wants to know why we've seen 4 resignations in the last 60 days. I include the code officer's resignation. That was pretty cut and dry. As far as the finance director, the deputy clerk, and now the road commissioner, I cannot answer for them, but I can tell you this: these are all talented, very capable people. And in the current job market, they can all leave town employment and make more money and be happier. I know that some of these employees disagreed with personnel decisions that I made, and that left them with a choice. They could stay and resolve these disagreements, or they could leave. Clearly, they chose to leave, and I wish them the best. I cannot keep someone, and should not keep someone, in a job they're not happy with. I enjoy my work with the town and trying to work for positive change in my community. I have no current plans to look for other work. I have no plans to resign. My hope is that we can rebuild the trust that has been lost, and we can work together to move the town forward. Thank you.
All right, now, the board has the town manager's job description. We will commence with anybody that would like to start. Mr. Mantra, I don't know if you're the one that brought it up, so I'll let you go.
I think a misconception that this was, with me, was about the code enforcement officer, but that's really not it. It was...
Can you speak up, Glenn?
Yeah, the way the town manager secretly hired his cousin out of the highway department, it left the foreman spot vacant, and it is still vacant. Now you don't have a road commissioner. He got sick of trying to do his work and the work of the foreman all combined. That's 80 hours of work that got dumped on him and the rest of the crew, and now he's gone. So there's 80 hours straight time up there. In the winter, it usually could be 60 hours a week. He set highway up to fail, and it's his job to fill those spots in and make sure everything is running smoothly, and he hasn't done that. And I don't know, maybe he's hired a couple people today, but I was up there this noon and they don't even know who the boss is tomorrow. So I don't even know if you're gonna get your roads plowed this winter. Maybe you got an answer.
Town manager. Okay, just so we're clear, we're not taking any comments from the floor here, okay? So you gotta wait till citizens' concerns. All right?
So if I heard you correctly, you touched on a few things. And yes, the fact of the matter is Jay Watt is my second cousin. I can't change that. I didn't hire him because he was my second cousin. I was involved in his hiring as the foreman several years ago. And after town meeting and the budget passed, he approached me. I did not secretly go after him to move him from one department to another. He said he was getting ready to be done with being a highway foreman. And so I thought he would be an excellent candidate for a full-time code enforcement job that could also do some facilities maintenance. And we went through all these issues publicly and in executive session over the summer. So I take objection to you saying that I secretly hired my cousin. I think that's a unfair way to paint the situation. Now, I mentioned earlier that it is my job to provide the staff with the resources they need to do the best job that they can. And I'll bring back to your attention the fact that after Jay left the highway department and he was working in code enforcement, the road commissioner and the finance director and I met to try to come up with a plan to find enough money to hire more people in highway. And in order to do that, we had to come up with a memorandum of understanding for the highway union, because their contract is still in effect through the end of June this coming year. And so we brought that plan to you as a board, and you approved it, reluctantly, albeit, but you approved it. And that allowed for raises for all of the existing highway workers, so that we wouldn't run into the situation where we're going to hire somebody and have to pay them almost as much, if not more, than the people that have been working for us for 20 or 30 years. So we tried to create a situation where we could do that. And we even moved the foreman pay up to $28 an hour and advertised for that position. And I left that part of bringing candidates in to the road commissioner. I figured he knew the job much better than I did. So instead of me going out there and trying to recruit a road commissioner, I encouraged, try to hire a foreman, I encouraged him to do that. And lastly, if you recall at the last meeting, when we were talking about the road commissioner's resignation and what my thoughts were, I said I think the best course of action is to hire somebody right now. And this board, particularly Mr. Moody, said, don't do that. Just find somebody up at Highway that can run the crew during the winter. So that's where it was left with me as far as direction on whether or not to hire a foreman or a road commissioner. We have applications, we have resumes, and I've reviewed one and met with the guy last week, but I put that on hold, waiting for direction tonight.
Any other questions on this subject?
Just who's in charge tomorrow at Highway?
Hopefully, you as a board will decide that tonight. There are options. One of the options is appointing somebody as a road commissioner interim. And that can be me, or it can be someone at that highway crew. I talked with a gentleman at the highway crew who used to be the foreman, and he has no interest in taking on the duties of the road commissioner. So you could assign them to me, or I could reach out to somebody that I talked to about the job, and I can ask them if they would be willing to take on those duties, if we were able to hire them.
Mr. Moody?
Tim, I believe what I said and meant there at the last meeting about hiring a foreman or a road commissioner up there, or somebody acting until we could hire another person up there, is you had mentioned something about going outside, and my feelings was that why not post it inside first and see if we got anybody in the crew that's up there, give them the first shot at it. If I made the intent to you that not to hire anybody, that was not the intent. My intent was to give the people that were up there the first shot at the job.
I misunderstood you. Thank you for clarifying there.
So if we move forward with this now, and we, as the board, name the town manager as the road commissioner for a period of time, all right, we have somebody in charge. I mean, it doesn't plow snow. I mean, you don't need it. Okay. All right, you can. And I do understand. I do. And remember, we need to not have comments, please. All right, because I do understand. I'm giving him another hat. So it is my. I do understand that. But you know, I think that we do that and ask him to go find a foreman. I mean, or if one of the gentlemen up there would like to take it and work as a foreman, I think that's awesome. There's some good people there. And I think if we can use them, however we can use them, it's going to be beneficial to us. Mrs. Dwyer.
Just a quick comment. If we do that, if Tim becomes in charge of highway, he will be able to hire people.
Yes, I would say that's the way town manager works.
And
Yes.
get that.
Yep.
That would be under his purview.
Yep.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So we don't have to-
As far as what happened this summer, I mean, as it went along, I was aware of things. I didn't see anything wrong with what the town manager was putting forward, and I still don't. I still don't see what was wrong with the whole plan that he put forward to us. We wouldn't be here tonight if we had okayed that in this fashion. So, I mean, I don't see, I still don't see what was wrong with it. Sturgill.
I just think it would be important if he hired a foreman other than hired a road commissioner. I think we better, be better off if we hired a foreman other than a road commissioner, because the road commissioner is voted on, and we still got a few more years to do that. So if he was in charge, or if put him in charge of hiring, it'd be a foreman, not the road commissioner.
Right, yes, but what I'm saying is that if we make him the road commissioner until the next election, we would send out and you know, put out the nomination papers in the next election,
Right.
and have him hire a foreman, because I mean, he's gonna be limited in what he can do as a road commissioner. Right? I mean, he's gonna be limited in office work and preparing, ordering whatever we need to have there, making sure the guys are scheduled to come in and you know,
The
we get
foreman
people
could
out.
do that, right?
Yeah, foreman could, I think, yeah. But you gotta have somebody who wants to look at the budget. I mean, if we have somebody at the town garage who doesn't really care about looking at the budget and looking at, you know, deal with the men, then let's use them. Let's get them in that position. But if we want somebody that's gonna look at the budget and all that stuff and, you know, make sure everything is going along smoothly, then we might be just as well with the town manager in that role. Mr. Moody.
Doesn't that also automatically come under the parameters of the town manager's job description? I mean, he oversees that budget and everything anyways. I mean, I don't think there's a necessity to elect him into it, which we can't do anyway.
No, I said appoint.
Or appoint him in. He's already in the position that he has to take it over anyways. He's got, I mean, when I mentioned the one other meeting here, he's got enough darn hats that he's wearing now that he's not in the office long enough, and you're gonna burden this, another
Well,
title?
I think he's going to be burdened anyways. I don't think it's gonna matter, is it?
No, just leave it the way it is. He's already overseeing it.
Is that the way you see it?
I don't think it needs to be technical.
So, well, technically, I did check with MMA Legal on this, and if a town has an elected road commissioner, they really can't go a period of time without a road commissioner. So someone needs to be appointed as the interim that carries that role until a new road commissioner can be elected. And so, if you were to, case in point, Town of Skowhegan. Town of Skowhegan had an elected road commissioner. He quit after a year. It was a 3-year term. And so they went and interviewed people that would be interested in becoming the road commissioner, knowing full well that that person would only serve until next June, and then they'd have to get elected if they wanted to keep the job. So they had 2 candidates that were willing to do that. But during that whole process of finding a new person, the selectmen in Skowhegan appointed the town manager to be the interim road commissioner, to handle the financial part of it, to handle the oversight, and to handle the hiring. Although technically, even now the way it is, the road commissioner doesn't hire. The road commissioner can interview and talk to and make recommendations, but all the hiring and firing goes through the town manager. And so I believe that it's something that we could do, but you as a board would have to take action to appoint someone as the interim road commissioner.
It sounds to me like MMA has already answered that question for us. From what you just explained to us, they've already answered the question.
Right. So is that something you want to take up later, or you want to deal with it right now?
What's the hurry? You mean,
Well, it's gonna snow one of these days.
yeah? What difference is it gonna make? He ain't gonna plow.
Well, you might.
Well,
Mr. Mann.
the thing is, they're gonna be short two drivers right now. There's no foreman, no road commissioner. The road commissioner also was a backup plow driver. Plus, the fact that there doesn't seem to be anyone out there who wants to be a foreman for a highway department. It's the same way with plow trucks. Nobody wants to drive a plow truck anymore unless you can steal them from somebody else. So it's not that he didn't try to find someone, there's just nobody there.
But we were able to hire 2 full-time people to add to that crew.
But
But the foreman is,
it's quite a learning curve to do that. And it's quite a learning curve to a foreman and probably a bigger learning curve for the road commissioner. Because there's a lot of things the road commissioner does that doesn't really show up. So I don't know if this can be pulled off or the roads are gonna go backwards.
I think at the very least, we should try to tamper expectations for people this year as far as it comes to how many passes that we're able to make on their road and how quickly we're able to get sidewalks clear. And that's just we've done such a good job for so long, we've held a very high standard. But if you don't have the manpower, you're not gonna be able to do it.
And if it gets packed down, it's really gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one concern. Any other concerns, Mr. Menta?
That's good for them.
All right, Mr. Moody?
Oh, you want me, what, I'm up to bat?
You, if you'd like to be.
All right. I just have a few concerns, and my concerns are in question form, and all I need is some answers and some explanations. That's all I need. And first of all, there seemed to be some comment about in the past that we don't have a problem at the town office. Even after 3 people left and another one had their resignation papers in there, we were told there was not a problem up there. Well, 4 of our board members here have confirmed to me that they believe we do have a problem up at the town office. And I don't understand why some people feel there isn't a problem at the town office after 3 people resigned. I mean, what has to happen, or how long do you have to wait to find out why 3 people have resigned? 3 key people in our town office has resigned. Now, how long do you let this go before you try to address it and find out what the problem is? And finding out what the problem is, and then you gotta deal with the problem. And how do you deal with the problem?
Are you asking me that question?
Nope. But
If you are, I can give you an answer.
if you want me to, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, you're one of them that said there isn't a problem at the town office.
If I have a written statement, or somebody comes to talk to me that there's a problem with the town manager and he's done this, this, and this,
Yep.
I will deal with it. I have nothing in my hands. I have nothing in my hands. Never been contacted by people, whether it be current town office employees or past town office employees. The people that left are all very good people, and I would hire them back in a second. So I don't know what I'm not going out on a witch hunt looking for trouble.
This isn't Trump. This isn't a witch hunt. This isn't political.
I didn't say it was, but
All I'm asking is a simple question is do you really think you have to have a written complaint before you solve a problem of 3 people, key people in our town, employees, have left? And that's not a problem because it's not in writing, Al?
well, how do you
That
deal
I
with
don't
something?
understand.
How do you deal with something you don't know about? There's
Then
two
you're
steps.
obliged to find out what the problem is.
I don't know how you do that. I mean, I don't know how you do that. It's like talking to 6th, 7th grade kids. I mean, you talk to one and this guy's the problem, you talk to one and this guy's the problem, and, you know, I don't know how you do that. So, if we have it in writing, we can discuss it. We can probably discuss it in executive session.
So what you're telling me, if 2 more people put their resignations in tomorrow, there's still not a problem?
I don't know.
Because they haven't given you some type of a written complaint?
Well, I'm not an expert on HR, personnel matters, but
Okay.
you gotta have something to deal with. I mean, you can't.
Okay, yep,
All right, Mr. Moody, continue.
thank you. And at the same time, the basic question goes to you, Tim. The last meeting that we had out in East Madison, Mr. Agopian asked you what 3 people have resigned, what seems to be the problem, and you did not have an answer. Is there a reason why you didn't have an answer?
Well, if I recall the question, Mr. Gopian asked, why are these people getting done? Why are so many people resigning? My answer at the time was, I really can't speak for them. I didn't coerce them into resigning. I didn't force their hand. I didn't recommend it. I was as unaware as you were when those resignations were given to me. So they were a surprise to me. They grieved me. They saddened me. It was frustrating. I've had camaraderie with all of these people, and we've worked together to accomplish some pretty impressive things over the last 8 years. And so when they gave their resignations, I was a little bit stunned, and I didn't really know what to do. It's not my practice to go scramble around and dig up money that I don't have and throw it at them, hoping that they would stay. Obviously, they disagreed with some decisions that I made, or they disagreed with something that was going on in the office. And when I talked with them about it, and I asked the 2 that I know of that had resigned from the town office, I asked both of them, what could I have done? And their answer was nothing. So, just like I said a few moments ago, it doesn't do any good to try to keep a person in a job they're not happy with. And these capable people are capable of going somewhere else and making more money. I think the problem, if you're looking for a problem, I think the problem is there was some disagreement with decisions I made. And I think that was the starting point for some of them to look to go elsewhere.
So what you're telling me, you did look into why these people were unhappy to the point that they resigned? Or you did not?
I did. And you may not know this about me, Mr. Moody. I'm a stubborn and arrogant man.
Meet your maker.
So when those resignations came to me at first, I really didn't quite know how to handle them. And I can only really speak to the finance director and the deputy clerk that put their resignations in within a few weeks of the job. Because we had conversations, and in some cases we had conversations weeks before their resignation just to do check-ins to see how things were going. We had new people in the town office, and so I wanted to make sure that people were working well together. I was given indications that things were a little off, but I was hoping that we would be able to work our way through them. But when the finance director let me know that she was leaving, I think that was a big blow. And a few days, and I'll admit a few weeks later, I went back and talked with her again, because I kind of pushed through a little of my stubbornness and said, I need to ask you a few more questions. And that's when I found out some of the reasons and some of the disagreements that we had in the past that led to her to try to seek employment elsewhere. And like I said, that saddens me. But like I said, I'm not going to try to keep somebody in a job they don't want to be in.
So at this point now, have you come to a conclusion at this point of what the problem was in there that you should have addressed, that they left?
No, I think the problem was they disagreed with how I addressed issues
With you?
with other personnel.
Okay.
These folks that gave their resignations, and you know some of this because you were privy to it in executive session. I'm not going to say anything that was in executive session.
No.
But you know as a board that there were disagreements between 2 individuals, and they came to me, actually I went to them, and said we need to solve this and move forward. And I made a decision. And the finance director told me that she didn't agree with that decision, and that was the reason that she started looking elsewhere. So I think if you're trying to find a problem, I'll take it, it's right here. But the problem was I made decisions that they weren't happy with.
When these people, and this is outside of executive session, when these two people went into your office with their resignation, did you ask them any questions?
I asked them all that question. Again, I'm only referring to the people that worked at the town office. I have not had any conversations with the road commissioner.
Yeah.
But when the people in the town office came in, I asked them both, is there anything I could have done? Is there anything I can do to change your mind? That was the question I asked, and I was told there was nothing I could do.
And probably because it had gone on long enough, they didn't think there would be a change. But did they lean to give you any reason or why, such as was the word micromanage brought to your attention?
I'm not gonna get into that nitty-gritty. That was brought up in executive session.
No, this was not. No, this was
Wasn't brought
not.
up to me.
No, this was not brought up in I'm not talking about anything in executive session.
Okay, so
We
hold
only-
on. So,
I'm answering a question.
so, what is the point of micromanage? You got to the point, he just admitted that he made a decision and they didn't like his decision. So what about micromanage? I don't really understand that.
You don't understand what micromanaging is?
No, not in this context.
Micromanaging is when you are sitting in your office and trying to do your job, and somebody that is in another office comes over and tries to tell you how to do your job differently.
So is he the one coming over and tell you how to do the job differently?
Oh, now you want names. Before
No,
you
I said
say you
him.
don't want names. Now
I said
you want
him.
names.
The town manager, I mean, pretty obvious, the town manager's sitting here.
No, I did not mention the town manager's name.
Okay.
I said another employee would come over and micromanage. And I explained micromanage is when you're doing your job and you're a math teacher and a geography teacher comes in and tells you how to do math.
Well, I let him go to it, but that's another
There you go.
whole issue, but that's.
This is what I am trying to bring out.
So I don't get what.
The question I have,
Yeah.
was this mentioned to the town manager when they dropped the resignation form off in his office? To make him aware of some of the reason. Did that happen?
Not to that degree, not to a point where they were that clear about it. I remember a phrase being used, I don't like looking over my shoulder.
Okay,
So,
okay. So did you figure that somebody was bothering him while they were doing their work that shouldn't have been bothering
well,
him?
I've known for months that there was tension and cold shoulders between staff in the office, but I don't think that I'm naive or any of us is naive enough to think that this has never happened before. It's never happened in an office full of people that are skilled and talented and strong-willed. It happens in town offices all the time. It's my job as a manager to try to make those people work together as best they can.
And what did we do?
I
to make it better?
sat with them and they expressed what they would like to do in a situation, but they were two differing things, so I made a decision to go one way for the benefit of the office.
Okay, okay, thank you. Did you ever find out why, after 27 years of working for this town, that the road commissioner resigned?
I have not. I have had very little contact with the road commissioner, and he has had very little contact with me.
Okay. Is maybe that caused by the little confrontation you and him had in your office?
Did I tell you about that confrontation?
No,
Okay, so that narrows it down. right?
no, road commissioner did,
Yeah.
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 Is
I
that
wish
okay?
I wish he had come to talk to me about it. I'll tell you exactly what happened. As we were continuing to go through this issue with my cousin, my second cousin, Jay Wall, and his hiring as the code enforcement, there were many public comments made. And the road commissioner came into my office and he was upset, thinking that I had talked about him in executive session. And I said, no, we did not talk about you in executive session. And so our conversation became heated. I will admit that I raised my voice. I will admit I probably even pointed my finger at him and said, I'm not going to have any more conversations with you about the code enforcement officer. I'll talk to you about roads, I'll talk to you about budgets, but I do not want to have any more conversations about the code enforcement officer with you, the road commissioner. And he responded, is that the way it's going to be? And I said, yes, that's the way it's going to be. And frankly, that's the last real conversation I've had with him, and that was over 2 months ago.
That's what I was asking.
Yep.
Okay. Tim, we go back to when you mentioned earlier about somebody said you might be wearing two hats. I'll take the blame for that, because I've said that more than 2 or 3 years ago. And probably you taking on these burdens of getting on too many committees, you're missing what's happening around you. And the reason I say that is, if you're not in the environment that you're governing, it's hard to keep track of what's going on around you. So, and I think that's part of the problem, is that you need to give up some of these committees and devote your time that we hired you for to spend in that office to make sure that none of these problems raise again. Am I making sense to you on that?
Yeah, and I'll admit, this has been a very difficult year. I entered into 2022 finding myself on 3 different boards, and I was the chair of each one of those boards. And I was the chair of Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, which if you look at my job description, it's part of my job description to be on the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments Board of Directors. But outside of that, I was also the chair of the Kennebec Valley Tourism Council, and I was the chair of Hospice Volunteers of Somerset County. And I've been the chair of the Hospice Board for 7 years. And throughout the course of that time, we had a hospice director resign, and then we had the chair or the director of KV-COG resign, all within a couple of weeks of each other in January and February. And I remember that time taking me out of the office quite a bit, because as the chair, I had to step in and handle some of the things of the day-to-day operations for both the hospice office and KV-COG. And so I would say to the staff at the town office, I got to leave and go to my other job. And so I'd leave at 2 or 3 in the afternoon and go and work over there. Sometimes I'd go there at 9 o'clock in the morning, then come to the town office afterwards. So early on, I was given a window to get off the Tourism Council, which I did. I'm no longer on that board. Hospice volunteers, that's something that's near to my heart, but I did tell the board of directors that I'm no longer going to be their chair in 2023. And I'm obligated to serve as 2 years for the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, and I'll be done that in September. And I'm happy to say that we have hired a very competent executive director during that time. So I don't disagree with you at all. I was pretty stretched thin on boards and committees. And is it possible that I missed something at the town office while I was pulled away from those other duties? Certainly it was possible. I don't think I did, but I believe it's possible.
So if we understand each other, your priority has to be this town.
Absolutely.
Before it comes to any of these others. And if they start interfering, which it seems that it probably did happen,
Right.
that you're going to have to spend more time and be more accountable to this town than you are to the county.
Well, yes, I would agree with you that this town is my first priority. And I would say, looking back 2 or 3 years ago, I think the reason I was able to get myself in all these different boards and committees is because we had an extremely capable staff at the town office. And you've heard me say this in my evaluations year after year. The reason that we've been successful is because of the staff that we've had there. And that has allowed me to serve on other boards and committees because of the staff not only there, but also at the highway garage and at the library. You had capable people doing their jobs. And so when that fell apart this year, certainly, I fully expect to be spending most of my hours in that town office, working with new staff as we go forward to try to rebuild that.
When was you considering advising us of these new people that you were hired and how much they were hired for? Because I went in there today to pick up paperwork and I don't know anybody in there no more.
Well, the only two people you would have run into today, outside of Deb and Triss, the treasurer clerk, and Deb, who's been with us for 7 years,
Right.
Would have been Kristen. And Kristen's a part-timer that we hired after Connie Venu got done.
She works 2 days a week.
She works 2 days a week. We hired her 5 months ago.
Yeah, we know that, yeah.
And then we hired a new deputy clerk to replace Kim Moody when she left, and we hired her about 3 weeks ago. So my understanding, maybe I'm missing something, but my understanding of hiring is that's my prerogative and that's my duty.
I agree.
And as long as I'm hiring people and paying them within the constructs of the approved budget, I don't need to involve the board in that.
I think it should be a courtesy to, seeing that we are the board that oversee you, to let us know who the heck's working in that office. It would be nice.
I will say, I did email everybody, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I did email everybody and tell them about the new hires.
I guess I didn't get it.
And I also mentioned it during items of communication a couple.
You had new
meetings.
hires, no names.
You gave names.
See, I didn't get that, I'm sorry.
So,
I thought I
Okay.
saw names too.
I did, well, Julie, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Today, too.
Now, how, you you hired so Deb is doing the DMV work?
we needed somebody with experience after Kim Moody left. We needed an experienced BMV agent.
Yeah.
And Deb was able to take that on.
Is she doing the training?
Is she, how do you mean? Is she training people on
Yeah.
the computer?
In that office?
She is available. She's gonna take a day off on Wednesday. It'll be the first day off she's had in a while. But she has been available to help everybody that's new on the counter get trained. In addition, I reached out and I asked Kathy Estes if she had time in her busy retirement schedule to come in 2 days a week to train people on the counter how to do tax payments, how to do BMV payments, and that sort of thing. So Kathy and I agreed to this, no benefits, just straight pay. And she came in and she did that training on the counter for Julie, and she helped out Kristen, and she did all that during the election, where both Deb and Triss were straight out doing voter registration and preparing for the election. So I really appreciate Kathy being able to come in, and I really think it's helped benefit getting those people up to speed quicker.
I see. And is that still ongoing?
No, I think that unless Triss has anything else specific she wants Kathy to do, I think Kathy and I talked last week, and I think we're done, and I appreciate it.
And these part-time people that you're bringing in, you're paying them?
When you say part-time people that we're bringing, I paid Kathy to come in and do
Yeah,
some training.
yeah.
But she's the only person I brought in to do training.
Okay, and what do we pay these people?
Kathy and I agreed, since there was no benefits and no retirement or anything like that, that she would do it for $30 an hour. And that's what we paid her for the small amount of hours that she worked.
So that makes her the third highest paid person in town.
If you want to look at it that way, Mr. Moore, that's fine. That's not inaccurate. We don't have many people that make more than $30 an hour.
Just you and the road commissioner,
Yeah.
that's it. And where are we pulling that money from?
We had money in the budget without a bookkeeper.
So you're taking it out of the bookkeeper's
All
line?
those salaries go into general government, so there's just one lump sum for general government salaries.
Okay. And you couldn't find anybody for less than $30 an hour?
Not someone that was as capable as doing it as the person who'd done it for 19 years.
Okay. I just want to touch a little bit back on September 8th. And I just need to ask you a couple of questions about that time. If you remember correctly, you sent me an email to come to your office to meet with you. Are we okay so far?
Yep.
Okay. And I was called in there to listen to you try to convince me and support a full-time CEO maintenance man.
Yep.
Okay? Now, this was after we had voted 2 times. Prior to that, we had voted 2 times.
I think we had voted at least once
2
at
times.
that time.
Okay, anyways, we got that. I just, after 2 votes, and then we, for some reason, extended it for a 3rd vote. And all 3 votes were the same, 3-2, correct?
Yep.
And I guess I have I don't understand why you as the town manager did not at any time support the majority vote. Isn't that part of your job description?
I'm a stubborn man. I think it took me a while to get there. I'm there now.
Isn't that being a little insubordinate to us if you're not supporting the majority of vote?
Well, I remember that conversation that you and I had on the 8th of September, and prior to that, there had been some conversations, and when we had one of the votes here, I remember asking each member of the board why they voted not, because the issue was not the table, or the question on the table was, are we going to bring forward $25,000 in carry forward so we can fund a full-time position? So I had already hired a full-time code officer, but I didn't have the full funding for it. That was my mistake. And so I was hoping that this board would be willing to carry forward the money that we didn't spend the year before into this year and fund that full-time position for the whole year. When we didn't do that, there were issues with different board members for different reasons. Some of them mentioned they were not in favor of carry forward at all. You had mentioned that you didn't think there was enough work to keep a full-time maintenance code person.
That was one of the things I said.
Right. So that week between the meetings, I contacted Mr. Gopian, I contacted Mr. Manor, and Mr. Manor made it clear he wasn't going to change his mind. Mr. Gopian made it clear he was not in favor of carry forwards. And so I talked to you as well to see if there's any convincing you to consider joining Mr. Vinziano and Mrs. Dwyer to support that $25,000 carry forward. And after our meeting, it was clear that you were not. And I understood that.
Yeah.
But it was still on the agenda for the meeting a few days later.
Yeah, but I'm not questioning any of that, Tim. All I am questioning is that you know, when whatever the item is, and however the majority of vote goes, I think it's your duty to support that majority vote. Am I wrong?
I think that's right, yeah.
And then the question is why did you not support it? Because that was one of the first times, and then the second time, we had another issue on the last vote, which shouldn't have happened. I don't believe should have happened anyways.
I'm sorry, what vote is that?
The 3rd vote.
3 times we brought this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, remember, Mr. Moody, I'm the one who allows votes to happen, so.
Oh, I remember. I mean, there's no
If that,
question.
your issue is with me, probably not
No,
with
no,
him.
the issue ain't with you, Al. No, if I got an issue with you, I'll say your name.
I'm the one who allowed the vote to happen.
Yeah, I understand that part too. Yes. But what I am saying is that even at the 3rd vote, after the third vote was over, it was a dead issue. Am I wrong?
I agree with you.
Okay. Then the town manager steps up and says, I'm not the town manager, I am a taxpayer, and I'm speaking as a taxpayer. First of all, I don't understand how you can do that as a town manager. Second of all, then he wanted afterwards to poll each one of us of why we voted the way we did, when it was a dead issue. You know, it was a wrong thing to do. Do you agree that you did the right thing on that?
I think I did the right thing by polling the board as to why
After
they
the
voted.
vote?
After the vote.
Really?
I think the right thing, because I think the public needed to understand where the board was coming from. And that's what I was trying to do, was to clarify where the board was coming from.
Yeah, and I tried to clarify with the board, and with you and the public, that my lifetime, I haven't said one sentence to the CEO that was hired. Don't know the man that well. And beyond that, it wasn't him. I tried to express that what was taken to town meeting was for a code enforcement officer, period.
Yeah.
Didn't say part-time, didn't say full-time. And it did not say / maintenance man. Am I okay so far?
You and I disagree on how you remember
Oh,
this.
yeah, okay.
Because you were at the meetings the year before and 2 years before when I explained this approach to do a full-time code officer / maintenance person. You were at those meetings and you heard me say that
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and then less than a year ago, this past February.
Mm.
And so when every other carry forward request, $50,000 for highway, thousands of dollars for the fire in the library, $25,000 for computers in the office. When all those carry forward requests get passed unanimously in one night, but the request to fully fund a code officer,
Yeah.
which I had explained 2 years before and then a year before, when somehow board members forget or suddenly don't understand, I think the public needed to know.
Yeah, first of all, because it did not go to the town meeting, you cannot create a maintenance man position. It's illegal to create it because you don't have the money in there. Second of all, as far as the code enforcement officer went in there, there was $52,450 put in there for a code enforcement officer. Then the next thing we know, it's gonna cost us $71,000 for wages and benefits, which people disagreed with. Mainly because it wasn't brought through the town meeting that way. Now, I have my beliefs, you have your beliefs, but that seemed to go over the heads of a lot of people. And I went by what the article said at town meeting, and that's what I believe. Now, I also mentioned that if this was that important, you have another one coming up in June, another town meeting in June, bring it forth again. We don't need to go to war because of something that isn't supposed to be there.
Well, if I learned anything from this, is I'm not gonna count on carry forward in the future. So when I present my budget to this board in February, it will be for a full-time code officer at about $85,000.
Yeah.
So,
And you can justify a code enforcement officer full-time.
I certainly can.
Okay, all right. Okay. Before I left that office, your office on that day, I did say to you that I had heard a couple of people mention that you had asked the administrative assistant from Anson to leave the office. And your response to me, which I wrote down, well, I wasn't aware of that. I said, this is a courtesy thing to you, Tim. Maybe you ought to look into it, because people are saying you told the administrative assistant from Anson to leave the office. First of all, it's a public building. So that was okay. So before I left your office, you said maybe there's something, you might want to go see Tammy, the HR person.
Yeah.
Because she had left her resume with you, her resignation, excuse me.
Yeah.
and maybe I wanted to check with her. So I did. I went in, and that's when I learned that this person had given up their resume to you. In talking with her, which this lady was quite upset, to the point I tried to keep changing the subjects because tears were in her eyes, because, you know, she was really sorry because she did not want to leave. And I asked her, I said, when you dropped your resume off, your resignation off, I said, was there any conversation about you dropping your... And she said, well, I got quite upset after I left, because when I went in there and did meet with you and give you her resignation, she said he wished me very well in anything I was going and in my new job, if I had one and what have you. But she said I got quite upset because he never asked me to stay. What could you do to make me stay, you know, to have me stay, or any of this? I said, well, that's too bad that you've been here this long, and, you know, people don't put forth an effort to keep you on board. So anyways, and then I asked her about the incident with, there we go. I asked her about the incident with the administrative assistant over in Anson. And she told me just what happened. They were standing there talking. The administrative assistant was over there on business. In fact, was bringing a check back from what was left over from the Madison Anson days. And they were having a conversation, and you happened to mention to Tammy, to the Anson Administrative Office person, you've been here about 15 minutes. I think it's long enough for something of that nature. And so she left. So I figured, you know, this is serious enough. Maybe I had to look out into this a little bit more. So I went over to the administrative office in Anson and looked for this person. Well, they weren't in that day. So I left a message. And that person called me that night because I wanted a conversation with that person about what went on, and I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So she advised me that just what had happened, that she was there on business and she was in the office with another person, and you had made that type of a statement to her. And I said to her, did you take this as a joke? She responded to me, she says, nope. She says, I've known that man for a long time. I know when he's serious, and I know when he's joking. And she said, well, I did not take it as a joke. I said, well, thank you very much. And I tried to do some apologizing because, you know, being two towns shoulder to shoulder here and working together on many things, you know, even fire departments working together, and Madison Anson days and all this other stuff. It's too bad not to keep that relationship going. And it was too bad to upset those people over there. So anyways, I got to thinking, you know, I said, well, I don't know. Well, then Bobby,
Rudy,
you got an office you can stick that in? What's the matter? Did I taken too long, Al?
Nope, I just want to comment on what you just said. You came to me with what you told me.
Yes, I
went
did.
to the town manager and I told him that I suggested that he go to Anson and straighten this out, and he assured me that he did. So I mean, I took it as he was joking with her, but that's
You
just me.
weren't the one whose
and this-
statement was made to either.
No, not at all. I took it as kind of half-hearted comment.
Why?
Because I seriously don't think the town manager would say something like that, but.
So
That's-
that administrative assistant.
I didn't
was
say that,
bull,
no.
Shoot me bull?
No, I didn't say that, but I just
Well,
don't,
you're
I don't believe
insinuating
that. Probably,
Yeah.
but no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I told him to go to make sure that everything was okay with him. As you said, we work with them. If we did something wrong, and they were hurt by it, we need to apologize for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what else you wanna do, but that's part of the idea of having stuff written down.
And I
By
did write it, I
by-
have it
no,
written down.
No, I mean by
Trust me.
people making a statement against personnel. This is a town employee. I can't go on hearsay everywhere.
This ain't hearsay.
Well,
This is direct.
I don't have that information. You gave me that information. It isn't written down in a form that, I mean, we all have an employer. We go out and I can probably find 10 people at the school that can make bad statements about administration, other teachers, other people. And
No, I'm not talking about bad statements, I'm talking about what happened.
Well, what they perceive as what happened. I could find 10 people to make a statement about a principal or a superintendent.
Two people communicate, and you say that unless one of them writes it down, it's okay?
You have to. How can you just go on hearsay and go investigate things that you think you heard?
I didn't think I heard, I went to the source.
Okay, well, I don't believe that's the way the town manager perceived him,
Why are you speaking for him? He's a grown man, he can speak for himself.
because I think it's our job to defend a little bit.
Oh, well, you ought to move your chair over there.
You never know.
Mr. Moody, do you have anything else on?
Yes, I do, sir.
On this particular issue?
No,
with
no,
Nancy?
no, not at all.
Again, as
No.
I said to you after you expressed this to me,
Yes,
I was not aware of hurting anybody's feelings.
yeah.
And after I thought about it, I realized, oh, I remember that she was in the finance office after Madison Anson days.
Right.
And I think I remember going in there, and I was jokingly saying, hey, your 15 minutes are up, because there are other people that needed the services of the finance office at that time. And at that time, there was no ill feelings that I was aware of. So I appreciate the fact that you brought this to my attention, because not only am I arrogant and stubborn, I also say stupid things sometimes, and I hurt people's feelings and I don't realize it. So it took me a while to get a hold of that admin person in Anson, but I did go over and sit in her office and talk to her and apologize for it. She thanked me for apologizing for it, and we moved on from there.
Good.
In this situation, the two parties that were offender and offendee, it's resolved,
Good,
as it should be.
yeah. Yeah. But it shouldn't have happened in the first place, but you did take care of it in the correct manner. You apologized. You know, when we're wrong, we apologize.
And if I can, Mr. Moody,
Yeah.
I hate doing this, because I asked you 3 times when you brought me this information, because clearly the administrative assistant didn't tell you this in the first place. So who told you that information in the first place?
About what?
About me kicking the person out of the office,
He heard it and told me,
okay?
and then I asked Tammy,
Right, I understand
I
your
asked the
investigation.
HR person,
Your state
because it
police
was
were
her
put in,
office.
But
That's where I heard it
I just
from.
wanted to know where it got to you as a board,
That's how I got
that
it.
you felt it important to come to me.
Well, I felt it important because that is a public officer we have there, and you asked an administrative assistant from another town to leave. Now, I wanted to find out whether that person took it as a joke or serious. The response I got was that at the time, it was taken serious and not as a joke. But in the end of it, you were man enough to say,
Yep, I was wrong.
you apologize. All right. And I don't think I was wrong checking into it. Do you?
Nope.
Okay. The other thing I'm confused about is in this agenda packet that we got today, there's a town manager's job description.
Yeah.
And we got another one in August that you issued, and it's two different ones. Which one is correct?
The most recent one, I've updated it since then.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't, this one you issued today, doesn't that come out of the code book, in the town code book? Isn't that in the town book?
Job descriptions are not in the town code, town ordinance. Job descriptions are updated at the discretion of the town manager from time to time. It's recommended that we update our job descriptions at least once a year.
Okay, but the changes in there, you make the changes on your own when you
Usually,
rewrite these?
I'll make edits depending on the changing nature of this job.
Okay. And it's not important that we be aware of this?
That's one of the reasons I put it in your packet. If there's things in that job description that you have in your packet that you either think shouldn't be there or things that are missing.
Usually changes are earmarked, but there was no earmarked changes to show what had changed and what had not changed, which would probably either create or not create a question.
In 8 years I've been here, and I can't speak for the previous town managers, I don't know how involved the select board has been in updating job descriptions. Perhaps now is the time to do that.
Well, I'm just thinking it might be a courtesy to make us aware of changes. I mean, in case we run across something and we don't know which job description to go after.
Yep, understood.
I guess the only other things I have to say is that I feel it's too bad that the 3 resignations that we received, and those people are gone, the third one, the last day was today, that the effort that was put forth for the CEO job, that effort was not put forth to try to keep these people on board. That's just my feelings. I feel sorry that wasn't done, and I don't know how those people feel about it. I haven't asked them about that much. But I guess, in speaking to the people that left, I guess I can understand why the HR and DMV employees have left when, not weeks, but months, there is somebody around that keeps trying to direct them how to do their job when they've done their job excellently for quite a period of time. And I hope in the future that the employees that you have in that office up there, what their job description is, that they stick wholly to their job description and not worry about who's doing what in the other office or try to tell them what they should be doing in the other office. If that's a question, they should be going to you. That's something for you to take care of. But the last thing I got to say, Tim, is I feel you need to dump more time in the office up there to be aware of what's going on and to be able to give some kind of guidance before these things start surfacing in the future. That's your number one priority, or should be, and I think that's where you should be. It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Mr. Gopin?
Yes, I have some things that Mr. Moody already covered, but I'll just quickly go through these. The one was the advisory board, when we sat down with the advisory board and we discussed things, that's when you should have brought up your full-time code enforcement officer, okay?
Okay, easy.
Well, go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, he brought it up, and we had a very brief discussion about it, no vote, no nothing taken. Okay, so then August comes around, and I've talked to you numerous times about this same thing, you're gonna hear it again. Basically it was $52,750 you put in for the code enforcement officer, and you knew it wasn't enough. But then we took it to a vote, August 8th, and you ended up losing the full-time code enforcement officer, right? It should have been over and done with. And some of the other things were carried on, I did not appreciate, because a vote is a vote. If I voted yes, and boy, everything would have been great here, these people wouldn't have been here. But what happened, if we would have changed that, just like I told you then, and gave them 71,000, all these people in here that voted that day at the town meeting for $52,750, that's what they expected. They didn't expect us to change the budget at all. And I would have been upset even if I wasn't on this committee. And I heard you did that. That's wrong. Okay, and then when the bookkeeper leaves, they always have a little follow-up, an audit, so everything knows what's going on and everything. Now, our audit started October 10th, I believe it was, or the 26th, I think it was the 26th to be exact. Then the auditor came and talked, well, he emailed you on the 10th and asked you about the $25,000, right? And then he wanted to know if it was approved or not. And then on the 14th, he asked you again if there's a carry forward for the, well, in your case, it's called the general government. That's the name of your,
Right.
So the money should be in there, or maybe not. And was this money approved, he asked you. And then you came back with the answer, it was not and will not be. What does that mean?
I answered the question that the auditor asked.
So where is the 25,000? Which budget is it in?
That $25,000 stayed in the previous year's budget because as a board, you did not carry it forward.
Correct.
So because the board did carry forward $96,000 in other departments,
Right.
the auditors needed to know. And because at the time where we were finishing up the audit, I was, admittedly pushing for it. And I said to the auditor, when that last piece of the puzzle, what they needed for the audit was, what about the 25,000? I said, it wasn't carried forward and it's not gonna be carried forward.
Okay, so where is it now? General fund?
Right, any money unspent from the previous budget falls to the general fund. And that's what the auditors would have, where they would have accounted it for.
Right, so that's where it is then. I'm
Right.
just checking, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, and two things get me. First, not putting enough money in the budget and trying to change it. Secondly, was on the, on hiring him full-time without us knowing about it, without permission. We all assumed, at least I did, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I did, with the money that he had in there. So when I discovered on August 8th, I was not happy then, because you already did this without our say-so. And that's what got me stirred up.
I think to respond to that, it goes back to what Mr. Moody was saying between the purview of the town manager and the courtesy of the communication. I don't have to get the board's permission to hire people.
Right.
But I think to the point that's already been made, it's important that the board knows what I'm doing. I've made probably 11 hires since I've been here at the town office. And very rarely has the board ever been involved with it. Looking back, did I mismanage this hiring of the code enforcement officer by not involving the board? That's a good possibility.
And the other thing what got me was this one here. It was full-time. You didn't hire him part-time.
Right.
You hired him full-time, July.
Right.
And so that even hurt me more because you took, and I felt like you were not only deceiving the board, but deceiving the people that were at the town meeting.
We've done carry forwards every year that I've been the town manager. And we've approved carry forwards for the highway department so that they could hire full-time people. And perhaps I'm, mixing things up here a little bit. But obviously, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because I thought it was a good hire. I thought it benefited the town. I thought it took work off of my plate, and I thought the selectmen would support it. That was my mistake. I was wrong.
And the other thing is, what happens is, and I think we're doing the right thing here by part-time code enforcement officer. Those people are good in the summer, in the spring, in the fall, but in the wintertime, they don't do that much. This is when they should go around, look at abandoned buildings and things like this. Something what they have to do like that. But other things it's not. I mean, the person you hired is using some of his sick day time for filling in for a 40-hour week. And that really isn't a good thing. And that's the only thing I have to say.
Anything else, Mr. Gopin?
Not right now.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Wyatt.
I think we've pretty much talked about this enough. I'm just going to say what I think as far as the people who have left the town office. I'm really, really sad to see them go. They were all very well qualified, both of the ladies in the office. Unfortunately, when people become unhappy, and my background is in HR and banking. I managed a branch for 20 years, and so if people are unhappy and they make up their mind they're going to leave, you need to let them go. People, we can refill those positions. Both of them did great jobs, and I really like both of the ladies, but they're gone. We need to move on. And as far as the highway department goes, we had to find somebody to run it. And when we do, it'll be okay. I really, really feel bad for Jeff because he's had some issues, and it's difficult. He's been there for a long time. And if he's not happy, then he needs to go too. This is how this wonderful world of work works. Sometimes you can stay and work through it, but if you make a decision to go, you need to go. It's as simple as that. And I want to just move forward. I'm really, really tired of talking about this code enforcement officer thing, but I'm going to talk about it one more time. We need one full-time. Ask anyone in this audience, I think most of them would support it because they know what's going on in this town. We have lots and lots of good things happening here. If we're going to keep them happening and we're not going to scare investors away, we need to have professional people running this town. I'm 69 years old. 10 years from now, and I've said this before too, 10 years from now, I won't be here probably. Maybe not, we're not sitting here. I might not even be on Earth. But there are people in this town, professional people, who can run this town. One is sitting right here. He has my support 100%. And I'm not going to go through any more of this. My term is up in June. And I'm debating seriously whether I want to do this again because I'm frustrated with the way the system has worked. And it's not because of you guys, it's because of the way the system works. We can't talk to one another. We can't communicate with one another. When we do, that you can't do that, it's illegal. That is ridiculous. When you have personnel issues in an office, if you can't talk to each other about it, in a sitting around a table having coffee, then how can we fix it? How can we solve it? You can't. You can't do it with the system. And I'm very, very frustrated with it and how it works because what it does is it turns people against each other. And one complaint comes through and the town manager is in trouble. And we're mature adults here. Madison is our town. please, just let's get together and make nice and do what we need to do. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. White. I have no comments. I guess I've already made mine. So we will proceed to talk about the road department and get that out of the way before we go to comments from citizens. So how do we want to proceed? What is the wishes of the board?
I think, may I?
Yep, Mrs.
I
White.
make a motion that we put Tim in charge of that interimly.
Interim
until
town
we
manager?
find- Until we find.
Excuse me, not town manager. That would be good.
He's already town.
Interim road commission?
Yes.
All right, do we have a second for that? And we'll talk about it.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to make Mr. Curtis the interim road commissioner. Any questions? Anything Mr. Manta?
Are you gonna get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and check the weather and call the crew in? Does that mean that's what you're gonna do?
I
If you
believe-
accept,
I believe I'm gonna have to.
it's all
Yep.
bolts and
Yep. I'm gonna have to work with the crew that's there and know what they need and make sure I get them what they need.
So that would also put you in charge of finding somebody for foreman or filling in the jobs that we have to fill in.
Certainly.
All right. Mr. Moody, any questions, comments?
I think I've said enough, don't you?
I was looking at the clock, but that's okay. All right, seeing no other questions, all those in favor? All right. 4 in favor, opposed?
I'm undecided.
Okay, abstain, we have 1 abstention.
Time will prove.
Yep. Time will prove a lot, Mr. Manta. All right, select board concerns, I don't think we got any of those. Any other subjects? Okay, so again, as I said, citizens' concerns, we will take them in a 2-minute interval. And if you would like to make a statement, and if you don't want to make a statement, you don't have to. Anybody who would like to speak?
I start this out, since I all around, basically.
Randy, you didn't want to say?
Not yet.
Jay Watt,
Remember, we got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I don't know if I can do it or not, I'll try.
All right.
Was the foreman, was the CEO, was supposed to have started. It's been totally mishandled wrong, partly by the board. Can't blame it all on Tim. When I went to him about the job, I discussed it, told him a lot of personal stuff going on, this and that. It was my decision to leave. I went to the road commissioner, told him, you guys work it out. I don't care if it's now, I don't care if it's this fall. Work it out, I'll stay, I'll help, I'll do both. Whatever it takes. Didn't happen. Then I get attacked by a road commissioner that I worked for over 12 years. He did everything he ever asked me to. And attacked my character, my family. Okay? It's unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Then I agree with you, Mr. Moody. If 3 votes should never went there. Because you, Mr. Manor, and Mr. Gopian wouldn't take it to the special town meeting and let the townspeople vote on it. That's where you guys messed up. And it's sad. Very sad. I started working for this town in '87 with the highway department. Every year I did other stuff. They called me back. The guy was sick. He was out for 2 months. I filled in. You know, it's too bad Mr. Wright left. I'm sorry, it didn't work out. But that's where communication and not willing to sit down at a table and figure it out. When you have people in the background poking and dumping fuel on the fire, it don't work. We do need to get back on track, and I hope we do. Thank you.
Okay, anybody? Yes, Amber?
My name is Amber Benio. I live on Park Street. Mr. Moody, you claim that Mr. Curtis is the problem at the town office. Given the timing of these resignations, did you ever stop to consider that maybe these people resigned as a result of the way you, Mr. Agopian, and Mr. Mantor have conducted yourselves over the last several months? Do you think that the 3 of you have demonstrated what a true example of leadership is for this town?
You looking for an answer?
Yes.
No, you're not going to get one. You're making a comment, and that's it. Yes, ma'am. Could I have you identify yourself?
Nancy Ridley, 46 Deer Run Road.
All right.
We can only make statements, we can't ask a
No,
question?
just statements.
I'll get you his email address.
It's citizens' concerns.
Fine.
All set? Are you all set, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Now, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Okay.
If I have questions, where do I direct them?
I would direct them to the town manager, and he'll pass them on forward, or you can direct them to me. You wanna send them to me, that's fine.
Is that a correct, I mean, I can't ask a question.
You can direct them to the town manager, he'll get them,
You're making it very
I'm
difficult.
sorry, you can direct them to the town manager, and he can get them to where we need to get them answered, if he can't answer them.
That's a certain, that's a statement.
All right, Mr. Gopian.
Yeah, Brandon Gopian, Trolley Line. I know in other businesses and things like that, when people tend to resign or leave, I know let's have an exit interview. And I think it's something that maybe we should do as an exit interview. Somebody says, why are you leaving? Maybe have 10 questions or something. Are you moving? Are you going for money? The environment, what's good about the place, what's bad about the place, what would you change, what you like about it? Just a list of like 10 or 12 things, maybe 10-minute interview real quick as they exit out. You learn a lot of information that way. I think that if that would have been done, maybe that would solve a lot of these problems. That's just a statement. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Gopian.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Jessica Valancourt. I live on Thurston Hill. I'm trying to frame this as a statement. I think as you guys on the board that you're supposed to help represent all of us, and I don't feel that going around and adding flames to the fire was a good way to go about any of this.
Thank you. Mr. Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, and I'm going to ask a question now, but it's rhetorical.
All right.
I'm curious how many of you listened to what Sally was saying. I got to say, I know all of you people well enough to talk real plain and frank to you. I've been my whole life, and I'm embarrassed. You've allowed this to deteriorate into a urinating contest over nothing. Good people have lost their jobs, moved on, simply because nobody can communicate. And everybody in those seats up there has to share that responsibility. You guys need to get your act together.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Mr. Kilkenny.
Rodney Kilkenny, 140 Western Avenue. I'd like to know why the selectmen and the town manager didn't get together with these people. They had to surmise something was going on. I mean, we're not all stupid. I heard it. If I heard it, anybody could have heard it. I'm an old man and I'm deaf, and I heard it. So how in hell could this have happened when nobody could get together with these people and try to make it right some way or another? I just don't get it. These people could still be on their damn jobs if everybody would have got together and made something of it. Whether it was right or wrong, it should never have happened to begin with. These are good people that have left. That this town, this is not a city, this is a small community. We have to make it right with people. If we don't, this town is going to go to hell in a heartbeat. You understand what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Does everybody get it? This is what we have to do. I'm damn tired of all this bullshit going on and nobody speaks up. You have to bring the issue to the front and get it taken care of as soon as possible. Not a day late or a day early. You gotta get it done.
We agree with you.
I was in the Navy SEALs for 6 years, and we never let up on nothing. We told it like it was, when it was, and how it happened. And we solved the issue, whether they damn liked it or not. And that's the way this town has to run. We gotta forget all about this and start from scratch and make this town work. I've been here for 48 years, and this has gotta work. This town has gotta work. I've done a lot for this town.
Yes.
With
Thank
the
you.
kids, the community, football, wrestling, whatever. I've done a lot. At 75 years old, and I will not give up.
Thank
Got
you.
it? Thank you.
Don Avery, Pine Street. I've been here for about 20 years. So, you know, we're in crisis management. You guys are, one of the things I want to bring up is $500,000 or more is spent for the Sheriff's Department. We don't need to spend that money anymore. You know what? We need to avoid that contract. We have services through them that we pay county taxes. We have state police that we pay state taxes to. It'll give us more services. We need to avoid that. I don't know when it comes up. You guys aren't going to, answer. I don't know when that contract comes up.
It's year to year.
Year to year?
In July.
In July. So come July, it's time to move on. They need to go do what they need to do, but we need to do what we need to do with that money.
I'll just tell you that I know I'm not supposed to answer, but in February, March, April, we'll be bringing that to the board.
It's time to move on.
Yep, thank you.
The other thing is, Mr. Manor, putting steel to the ground, I think our highway department's one of the best. They're silent professionals. I watch them all the time. They do great work. I don't doubt that they're going to continue to do great work. I think they're going to be stretched thin, but they're going to still hit their primary roads and their secondary roads, and they're still going to be great people, and they're going to do great work. And Ron, I don't know what's going on with you. You're a liability right now. The way you talk, the way you act, it needs to go in executive session. You're way out of bounds right now.
That's why we're here, executive session at work.
Well, it still shouldn't be brought out to here. There's things that need to be done in private. If you guys want to vote and do things, do it in an executive session. Mr. Curtis, I don't know him, he don't know me. But you know what? You guys have whipped him to death. You know what? He made a mistake, he did something wrong. I think he knows it. Do you know it, Mr. Curtis? I think he knows it. We all know it. Come on, guys. Move on. It's that simple. Be professional. Move on. That's all I got.
Thank you. Here, Jackson.
Okay. My name is Dr. Manchester. I live on Maple Street. I've been recording these meetings for about 5 years, and my recollection, how do you say it, of Tim Curtis has been, he has always tried to discuss everything. Every time he's had a question or a problem you ask him, he would always ask it and explain it in a different way. As I recall, there was a time where Bob Hagopian didn't understand how overtime worked. That had to get explained over and over and over. And I remember a lot of the stuff about the code enforcement officer being mentioned 2 years ago and last year. I just want to say, there's going to be mistakes. He's definitely made mistakes. There's definitely been mistakes across the board. And I can't say I've listened to every meeting. There has been some days where I have came here and basically took nothing out of the meeting, didn't listen to it. And there's mistakes on my end. I can't say I've heard everything, but as I've always remember, Tim does explain really well, and he has explained. He might have missed some things every now and then, but I really think he's done a good job trying to explain the code enforcement officer.
Thank you. Thank you, Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I just have a suggestion for the board.
Yes.
In the future, where you need so many people and you need to make sure they're qualified to do the job, that it isn't just left in the town manager's hands, that the board should approve the wages, the benefits, and the duties of people coming in. The board should have a big part in the final candidate that is elected, that is hired.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Up in the back, Mr. Ireland.
My name is Jeff Ireland. I live on Bean Street, and I apologize. I'm going to go scripted for about a minute and a half. I'm a homeowner and a business owner in the town of Madison. I'd like to address the select board. I'm not going to single out any specific individuals, but it'll not take a genius to realize to whom my comments apply. The select people voted in to serve the best interests of the town and its people. They're supposed to be representing us. I have no personal beef with any of them. I don't think they have a personal beef with me. But I've recently found myself questioning if there is some sort of a hidden agenda. If there are any among them who are acting out of spite, they need to do the right thing and either step down or get their stuff together and start behaving appropriately. I've lived in this town nearly my entire life. I was born here. And as a homeowner and a business owner, I have a substantial investment in this town, financially and otherwise. I raised my kids here and I went to school here myself. I'll be darned if I'm going to sit back any longer and watch as petty, vengeful, so-called adults who are supposed to be representing us take our town hostage over personal agendas. My hope is that the hall tonight is packed, which it is. Tonight, elected officials are able to bear witness to icy stares of disapproval from their constituents, in some instances. In my opinion, Tim Curtis is among the best of the town managers this town has had for many years. To allow him to be bullied or forced out by the very people we, the town's residents, have put in place to act for us would be a travesty. Remember, select people, you are elected, and in the past, many of you have run unopposed with little risk in the way of losing your seat. You have, over the last few months, awakened a sleeping giant. For those of you who decide to finish your elected terms, be advised you'll more than likely face large amounts of opposition at the polls in your next attempt. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, I'm gonna try to keep this short. All the way from the Weston Ave projects when I started getting into the town politics, and I started talking with Tim. Tim has integrity and he has respect, not only with the town. Every single person I talk to, and I know a lot of people on Facebook in the town, have said good things about Tim, and not so much about you three, unfortunately. What I'd like to talk about is also the biggest thing, especially for someone in his position, is humility. He has the humility to admit when he makes a mistake. He has the humility to admit when you guys need to make a change, and he takes the brunt of it. He takes all of the heat. You three agree that he has too many hats, and you pressure him to do so many jobs. Yet, when he tries to give a job to someone else, like the code enforcement officer, you shut it down because of your personal agenda, your personal problems. Any person could watch the videos from the past and see, especially with you, Mr. Moody, and you, Mr. Mantor, that you have a personal disgust with Jay Watt, and you have a personal problem with Tim supporting him. And that has influenced all of us to come here tonight and on Zoom to try to convince you that he's not the problem. You three are the problem. You need to take what he does and take some humility and admit when you make a mistake and when you have a personal agenda. And it's fine. We all make mistakes. We are all people who make mistakes. But we have to rise above and be adults and be mature and admit when we make a mistake. Tim does that. You have not. You need to do that. You need to apologize to him. You need to apologize to us. Because we are the town of Madison. You're supposed to be speaking up for us. You're not supposed to be speaking up for your personal problems with Tim or the code enforcement officer. I would really encourage you.
That's 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Mr. Kilkenny, no, I'm not going to go over everybody twice, but I'll give you a minute.
Give me 30 seconds, 15 seconds, all it's going to take.
Thank you.
I'm not here to impose anybody. I'm here to get to the truth. And that's why we're all here, to find out exactly what happened to these people. I got a pretty good idea what happened. And I probably will let them know individually when the day's coming. Because I'm the type of person that likes to get to the bottom of the issue. I was an interrogator in Vietnam, and I'll tell you what, I got the answers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, I got one more, sir. Sorry.
Graham Brigg, Thurston Hill. We can kind of all sit here and like pander to the audience and say that we need to get our act together. But at the end of the day, we have multiple town employees that it seems like the bridges have been burned and they're not coming back. That's what I would assume. And like, I've lost my train of thought. I'm a little nervous. But, we basically have a gutted town employees section at this point. You know, at what point does what point do we get to the bottom of it and hold that person accountable? Like, you know, that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. All right, seeing no other comments, looking for a motion to adjourn from the board.
So moved.
All right, so a motion. We have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Adjourn at 8:09.